Okay guys, today we're going to be solving quadratics. There are multiple ways to solve quadratics. The two ways we're going to work on today are by graphing and by factoring. So when you're graphing, you have to make sure that you have your quadratic in ax squared plus bx plus c form. The yellow highlighted area is the A, the orange highlighted area is the B, and the pink is the C. Now remember, even though there is not a number in front of x, we assume it's a 1. So I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to put this equation into it. You're going to go to New Document, you're graphing, because that's what we're trying to do, and you're going to type it in just like it looks. X squared plus 14x plus 48. And it's going to graph it for you. This is what we call a quadratic. It makes a U shape. It's also called a parabola. Where it touches the x-axis, that is our solutions or our answers. So notice if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it is -6. So it touches here at -6. 7, 8, it also touches at -8. These two places here where it touches, that is my solutions. It is also the x-intercept. Remember sexy, x, comma, y. The x-intercept, the number there has to go in that spot. So if our first one is -8, we're going to have -8, 0. And our other one is -6, we're going to have -6, 0. Now, our y-intercept, guys, it's hard to see when you look at this, but if you look here and you have it in ax squared plus bx plus c form, our c is also our y-intercept. Remember, sexy, the y goes second. So that is the first way to do it, by graphing. Okay, the second way to do the factoring is by putting it in the calculator. So again, if you go to New Document, remember we never save it. Now we're going to go to Calculator. You're going to hit Menu, you're going to hit 3 for algebra, you're going to hit 3 for Poly Tools, and you're going to hit 1 to find roots. Roots is another word for solutions, just like zeros. It's going to have it in this form here. These blanks go with the highlighted items I have here. This is your A, this is your B, this is your C. So in that first one, because it's x squared, you're going to put a 1. And the second one, you're going to put a 14. And then the third one, you're going to put a 48. Notice in the parentheses, it types it like it should look. If it doesn't look like what's on the paper, you know you made a mistake. And you're going to put your enter. -8 and -7. Notice the answers match the answers here. So these are our solutions. So our solution is x equals -8 and x equals -6. Sometimes, guys, they put them in parentheses, though. Remember when we factored, we had parentheses. To go backwards, all you're going to do is change these numbers to positives. If they're positives, they become negatives. So this 8 is actually going to be x plus 8, and this 6 is actually going to be x plus 6. This is how you would factor them. This is what we talked about when we were factoring and finding the GCF a little while ago. Okay, let's look at number 2. Now, just because it's an R does not mean our steps change. But this is not in the correct form. This 20 is on the wrong side. So remember, when you do this, you have to move everything to the same side. And when we move it, just like you move your house, you change your address, you change the symbol. So this 20 is now going to become a negative. So you're going to have r squared plus r minus 20 equals 0. The r squared is the same as our x squared, so that is our a. Our b is our r, and our c is our negative 20. Don't forget what numbers are in front of both of these r's. Even though we don't write it, we always assume these are ones. Okay, let's look at the graph and see what it looks like. New document, go to graph. Now, you cannot type in an r. You have to put an x. So when we type it in, you're going to say 1x squared plus 1x minus 20. And it's going to graph it like this. Notice it touches at 1, 2, 3, positive 4. And it also touches at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5. It's going to come down this way pretty far and then up. It's open upward. So we just said that it touched at negative 5, 0. And it also touched at 4, 0. So those are your x-intercepts, your solutions, your roots. Your y-intercept, don't forget, we talked about that earlier. That is our c, our pink value right here. So this is going to be 0, negative 20. If you need to zoom out and you want to see it, just zoom out. Okay, let's look at our factors. Menu, algebra, poly tools, we're doing the same steps we did on the last one, and roots. Enter. We put these ones here so we remember to put ones in the boxes. So 1, 1, negative 20. Do not forget to put the negative. Check it. It looks like what we wrote other than ours. Negative 5, negative 4. It's exactly what we got on our graphs. Don't forget though, when I put it into the parentheses to factor, I have to change it. So even though my x is negative 5, sorry, not my x, my r is negative 5, and my r is 4, x and r are the same thing. When I put them in, I change the 5 to a positive, and I change the 4 to a negative, because putting them into the factoring, into the parentheses, changes the value. Take a second. All right, let's go on to example 3. So now in example 3, it's no different. 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. It's already an a squared x squared plus b x plus c form. So this is our a value. This is our b value. And this is our c value. Just because there's a number in front doesn't mean our steps change. It's already ready to go, so we can go straight to putting it in the calculator. We go to graph, and we type it in just like it looks. Now remember, if this is not an x, you have to change it to an x before you type it in. So 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. And it's going to graph it. Now notice, it's really easy to see this one right here. That one's on 2. This one over here is a lot harder to see. If you go to menu and you go to analyze and hit 0 and click on both sides, it will give you that decimal answer. And it says negative 0.333. That's like 1/3, negative 1/3. It's really hard to see on here. That's why you have to do both factoring and graphing, because one way might be easier than the other to figure it out. So I'm going to wait to put my 1x because I'm not really sure if that decimal is 1/3 or not. But I'm going to put my other one, which is 2. So I'm going to put 2, 0 as my other one. And don't forget, that back value right there, my green one this time, is my y value, so negative 2. Let's go to the factoring button, and let's check if I do it the other way, if it's going to give me a 1/3, to see if we're actually right. Remember, our menu, so you're going to go to menu, go to algebra again, that's number 3. Poly tools, 3 again. Roots. And type them in. 3 is right here. That's my A value. Negative 5 is my B value. And negative 2 is my C value. When you push enter, look and make sure you compare what you have here and what you have on your paper. You can check what's in the parenthesis in here to make sure they are the same. So we were right. It was negative 1/3. But we weren't sure because of the decimal. So I'm going to go ahead and put a negative 1/3, comma 0 over here. So x equals negative 1/3, and x also equals 2. Now when I go backwards and I put this in parentheses, this is a little trickier. Because remember, the 2, that's not hard. We just change it to a negative 2. But I cannot put x plus 1/3 here. Remember, when I factor this guy, we slip and slide him over. This 3 is going to go in front of my x. This guy here. And this 1 is going to stay at the back. So you have to get rid of the fraction by slipping in front whatever's on the bottom. The number on top stays at the back. So these two are my factors. All right, last one. Okay, this one's pretty complicated because I have stuff on both sides. I can't have stuff on both sides, so I need to move everything to the other side. This 7 needs to come over here with the 5. When it comes, remember, I move my house, I change my address, I change my sign. That 7 becomes a negative. I'm also going to move this 3 over here with the 33. When I move that negative 3, he becomes a positive 3. X squared didn't change. He is still x squared. So I have x squared, negative 5, plus a negative 7. If you're not sure, check your calculator. Negative 5 plus negative 7 is negative 12. You could also put negative 5 minus 7. It still would have gave you negative 12, guys. So that's negative 12x, and 33 plus 3 is 36. So plus 36 equals 0. Okay, my x squared is my a value. My b value is my negative 12x. And my c value is my 36. So let's type it in the calculator. We're going to go to graph. Never save it. X squared minus 12x plus 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it touches 6. It only touches one time at 6. Huh. This one only has one solution. My other ones had 2 solutions. That's interesting. So it touches at 6. That's my x-intercept, so 6, 0. Let's check if I were to do the factoring, if I only get one answer or not. So I'm going to go to Menu, Algebra, Tools, and Roots. I'm going to type in a 1, remember? We assume a 1 is here. A -12 and a 36. Look what it does, guys. It gives me 2 6s. So even though it touches only once, I only have an x-intercept of 6 one time, but I actually have 2 factors because I can't get a -12 by just having a 6. I have to have 2 6s to get a -12. My y-intercept is 0.36. So we just said x is 6. But when I put my parentheses in, it's like I have 6 twice. So when I put the parentheses, I'm going to have x minus 6, and I'm going to have x minus 6. Even though it touches once, I still have to have 2 factors because I can't get that -12 in the middle if I only have the 1 parenthesis. That would just give me x minus 6. It wouldn't give me 12, and it would not give me the 36 that I need when I multiply. Now, guys, these are most of them. If I had a graph that never touched the x, it never touched or crossed here, that would be no solution. I can't have an answer. It never touches. It doesn't work. And when you put that in your calculator, it's going to say that you have no solution. Okay? Now that you finished, answer the question at the bottom and go ahead and go on to the next problem.